The unprovoked strike. The morning sun cast long shadows across the crystalline towers of Meridian Prime as Colonel Sarah Chen adjusted her uniform and stepped onto the observation deck of the orbital station. She had been stationed here for 3 years, overseeing security for one of humanity's most remote mining operations. The work was peaceful, almost boring. The biggest threat they usually faced was equipment malfunction or the occasional space debris. Sarah sipped her coffee and watched the mining ships extract rare minerals from the asteroid belt below. Meridian Prime supported over 50,000 people across 12 different facilities. Scientists studied the unique geological formations, miners harvested precious metals, and families lived in comfortable housing pods that orbited the main station. Children attended school via holographic classrooms while their parents worked to expand humanity's reach into the galaxy. The communication array buzzed with routine traffic. Weather reports from the agricultural domes, shift schedules from the mining platforms, and the daily medical reports from the research stations. Everything was normal until Dr. Amanda Foster's voice crackled through the speakers with unusual urgency. "Colonel Chen, we're picking up some strange readings from the Kepler research station. They missed their scheduled check-in 2 hours ago." Dr. Foster managed the communication network that connected all human facilities in this sector. Her voice carried a note of concern that made Sarah set down her coffee. "What kind of readings?" Sarah asked, moving to the main control console. The Kepler research station was one of 3 facilities studying alien technology that had been discovered in this region. The work was classified, but Sarah knew it involved trying to understand advanced propulsion systems. Complete communication blackout. No response to any frequency. Their automated systems aren't broadcasting either. Dr. Foster's fingers flew across her keyboard as she tried different communication protocols. It's like the entire station just disappeared. Sarah felt a cold knot forming in her stomach. Space was dangerous, but modern human technology had safety systems built into everything. Total communication failure was almost impossible unless something catastrophic had happened. "Prep a reconnaissance ship," Sarah ordered. "I want a full sensor sweep of that sector within the hour." Lieutenant Commander David Kim was already suiting up when Sarah reached the hangar bay. He was one of her best pilots, steady under pressure and experienced with long-range scouting missions. His ship, the UES Pathfinder, was equipped with the most advanced sensors Earth had developed. "Any theories on what happened out there?" David asked as he ran through his pre-flight checklist. "Could be anything. Solar flare, equipment failure, asteroid impact." Sarah tried to keep her voice calm, but her instincts were screaming warnings. "Just get close enough for a full scan and report back immediately." The Pathfinder launched smoothly and began its journey toward the Kepler research station. Sarah returned to the command center and tried to focus on routine tasks, but her mind kept returning to the missing station. 1,500 researchers worked there, including some of Earth's brightest minds. They had families, dreams, and projects that were advancing human knowledge. 40 minutes later, David's voice came through the speakers with a tone Sarah had never heard before. Fear mixed with disbelief, and something close to horror. "Colonel Chen, you need to see this. I'm transmitting visual data now." The main screen flickered to life, showing what remained of the Kepler research station. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The massive facility that had housed 1,500 people was nothing but twisted metal and debris. Entire sections had been vaporized. The research laboratories were gone. The residential areas were scattered fragments floating in space. "My God," Dr. Foster whispered beside her. "What could have caused this?" David's voice was shaking as he continued his report. "Colonel, the damage patterns are consistent with military-grade energy weapons. This wasn't an accident. Someone attacked this station with overwhelming firepower." Sarah's blood ran cold. Humanity had peaceful relations with every known alien species. There had been minor trade disputes and cultural misunderstandings, but nothing that would lead to violence. The galaxy prided itself on civilized communication and diplomatic solutions. "Any survivors?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer from the debris field on her screen. Negative. I'm detecting some escape pod launches, but they were all destroyed before they could reach minimum safe distance. Whoever did this wanted to make sure no one escaped. David's voice cracked slightly. Colonel, I'm picking up similar readings from the Darwin Research Station and from the Tesla Research Station. The command center fell silent except for the hum of electronics. 3 research stations, over 4,500 people. Sarah's mind struggled to process the magnitude of what she was seeing. Get back here immediately, Sarah ordered. Full stealth protocols. If someone is attacking human facilities, they might still be in the area. As the Pathfinder made its way back to Meridian Prime, Sarah began sending emergency communications to Earth. The messages would take weeks to reach the home system, but this news couldn't wait. Humanity had just suffered its first act of genocide, and someone needed to answer for it. Dr. Foster was coordinating with the other facilities in the sector when she discovered something that chilled everyone to the bone. The attacks had been perfectly timed. All 3 research stations had been destroyed within a 6-hour window, suggesting careful planning and coordination. Colonel, I found something else, Dr. Foster said quietly. Before the blackout, the Kepler station sent an automated distress signal. Just one word, transmitted on every frequency they had. What word? Corvani. Sarah had heard of the Corvani Empire. They were one of the older alien civilizations, known for their advanced technology and military prowess. They had always been polite but distant in their dealings with humanity. Their representatives at the Galactic Council spoke of peace and cooperation, but their actions suggested they viewed humans as inferior. The Corvani were also known for their belief in preemptive action. They had destroyed 3 other species in the past century, claiming those civilizations posed potential threats to galactic stability. Each time, the Galactic Council had accepted their reasoning and allowed the genocides to proceed. Lieutenant Commander Kim returned with more devastating news. His detailed scans revealed that the Corvani had used their most powerful warships for the attacks. They hadn't just destroyed the stations, they had obliterated them so completely that forensic investigation would be impossible. They wanted to send a message, David reported during his debrief. This wasn't just military action. It was a demonstration of power. Sarah spent the next 3 days gathering every piece of evidence she could find. Security footage from nearby facilities showed Corvani ships approaching the research stations. Communication logs revealed that the aliens had jammed all distress signals before beginning their attacks. Most damning of all, intercepted Corvani transmissions showed they had celebrated the successful elimination of the human pest problem. When the evidence package was complete, Sarah transmitted it to Earth using the fastest communication methods available. The message would reach President Marcus Reed in 18 days. Sarah could only imagine the response it would provoke. President Reed received the transmission while meeting with his cabinet about trade negotiations with the Centauri Federation. The room fell silent as they watched the footage of destroyed research stations and read the casualty reports. 4,500 human beings, including 800 children, murdered without warning or provocation. They targeted civilian research facilities, Secretary of Defense Jennifer Walsh said, her voice tight with controlled rage. They killed scientists and families. This is pure genocide. President Reed was known for his calm demeanor and diplomatic approach to problems. He had spent his career building bridges between different human colonies and alien civilizations. But as he stared at the images of twisted metal that had once been homes and laboratories, something fundamental shifted in his expression. "Convene an emergency session of Parliament," he said quietly. "I want every military commander, every intelligence analyst, and every weapons designer in one room within 24 hours. Sir, perhaps we should try diplomatic channels first," suggested Foreign Secretary Thomas Chen. "The Galactic Council has procedures for addressing these kinds of incidents." President Reed turned to face his cabinet, and several people stepped back involuntarily. They had never seen him look like this before. His eyes held a coldness that seemed to pull all warmth from the room. The Galactic Council has allowed the Corvani to commit genocide 3 times in the past century. They'll send a strongly worded letter and consider the matter closed. Reed's voice was so quiet that everyone had to strain to hear him. But we're not going to handle this like other civilizations. We're going to handle this like humans. The emergency session of Parliament lasted 14 hours. Military leaders presented Earth's current capabilities while scientists discussed new weapons technologies that could be rapidly deployed. Intelligence analysts provided detailed information about Corvani military installations and trade routes. Admiral Elena Vasquez, Earth's highest-ranking military officer, stood before the assembled leaders with grim determination. The Corvani Empire controls 12 star systems and maintains a fleet of over 3,000 warships. By traditional military standards, they outgun us 50-1. Then we don't fight by traditional military standards, President Reed replied. How do humans fight when we're outnumbered? Admiral Vasquez smiled for the first time since receiving the news from Meridian Prime. We fight smart, we fight dirty, and we don't stop until the job is done. The declaration of war passed by unanimous vote. But this wouldn't be like the civilized conflicts other species engaged in. There would be no formal challenges, no agreed-upon rules of engagement, and no mercy for those who had chosen to murder human children. Parliament's final decision was simple and absolute. The Corvani Empire would cease to exist. Every ship, every base, every facility that had supported the genocide would be destroyed. The galaxy would learn that attacking humanity carried consequences that no alien mind could comprehend. As news of the war declaration spread through human space, something remarkable happened. Every colony, every ship, every facility volunteered resources for the war effort. Scientists abandoned their research to design new weapons. Engineers worked around the clock to build ships. Soldiers trained for missions that other species would consider impossible. The Corvani had made a fatal error in their understanding of humanity. They thought humans were just another weak species that could be intimidated by a show of force. They were about to discover that humans were the most dangerous predators the galaxy had ever seen. The war machine that humanity assembled in the following months defied every prediction and assumption the galaxy had made about human capabilities. While other species fought with honor and restraint, humans prepared to fight with calculated ruthlessness that would leave their enemies extinct. The Corvani Empire had started this war by murdering innocents. Humanity would finish it by demonstrating why apex predators should never be provoked. The unthinkable response. 6 months after the Meridian Prime massacres, Admiral Elena Vasquez stood in the war room deep beneath Earth's surface, studying holographic displays that showed the complete military infrastructure of the Corvani Empire. The information had been gathered by human intelligence operatives who had spent decades building relationships throughout alien space. The Corvani thought they knew everything about human capabilities, but they had never bothered to learn about human intelligence networks. Dr. Park, status report on the Ghost Fleet, Admiral Vasquez said, turning to the brilliant physicist who had revolutionized human military technology in just 6 months. Dr. James Park looked exhausted but triumphant. All 500 ships are equipped with quantum stealth systems. The Corvani sensors won't detect them until our weapons are already firing. We've also completed the Nova bombs. The Nova bombs were Dr. Park's most terrifying creation. Unlike conventional weapons that destroyed targets through explosive force, Nova bombs destabilized the quantum structure of matter itself. A single bomb could eliminate an entire fleet, and the destruction would appear to be a natural stellar phenomenon. Captain Rex Thompson entered the war room wearing the black uniform of Earth's new Special Operations Division. His face was scared from the intensive training that had prepared him for missions behind enemy lines. Admiral, my teams have successfully infiltrated 17 Corvani military installations. We're in position to begin simultaneous strikes across their entire empire. Admiral Vasquez nodded grimly. The Galactic Council meets tomorrow to discuss what they call the human problem. Ambassador Korvac will demand that we accept the loss of our research stations and move on peacefully. And our response? Captain Thompson asked. Our response will be delivered in Corvani blood. Admiral Vasquez replied coldly. Begin Operation Extinction in 6 hours. Across the galaxy, Ambassador Thane Korvac was preparing his presentation to the Galactic Council. The tall, reptilian alien believed that humans could be easily intimidated into submission. His species had ruled through fear for over 1,000 years, and these young mammals would surely back down when faced with superior technology. The council chambers on the neutral world of Harmony Station were filled with representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. The ethereal collective, known for their wisdom and long lifespans, served as mediators. The insectoid hive queens communicated through chemical signals that filled the air with strange scents. The crystalline beings from the mineral worlds created musical tones that served as their language. Ambassador Korvac strode to the central podium with confidence. Esteemed colleagues, we gather today to address the unfortunate incident involving the human research facilities. The Corvani Empire deeply regrets the loss of life, but those installations were conducting research into weapons that could have threatened galactic peace. Murmurs of agreement came from several delegations. Most alien species viewed humans as impulsive and potentially dangerous. The idea that humanity might develop threatening technology seemed reasonable to civilizations that had maintained stability through careful control of advanced weapons. We propose that the human government accept a formal apology and monetary compensation for their losses, Ambassador Korvac continued. In return, they will agree to restrict their military development and submit to regular inspections by Galactic Council peacekeepers. The ethereal collective's representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline shell, pulsed with soft light as it spoke. This proposal seems reasonable. Violence must not be answered with violence. The cycle of retribution benefits no one. But before any formal vote could be taken, the chamber's communication system activated with an emergency signal. The holographic displays showed Admiral Vasquez broadcasting from Earth's military command center. Members of the Galactic Council, Admiral Vasquez began, her voice carrying across the chamber with deadly calm. By the time you receive this message, Operation Extinction will have been underway for 37 minutes. I wanted to make sure you understood what you're witnessing. Ambassador Korvac felt his blood turn cold. What is she talking about? What operation? The answer came as reports flooded the chamber from across Corvani space. 17 military installations had simultaneously exploded in massive fireballs. The Corvani Second Fleet, patrolling near their home system, had simply vanished without sending any distress signals. 3 major weapons manufacturing facilities had been reduced to quantum dust. This is impossible, Ambassador Korvac stammered. Our sensors would have detected any approaching ships. Our defenses are impenetrable. Admiral Vasquez's image smiled coldly. Your sensors can't detect ships that exist in quantum superposition. Your defenses can't stop weapons that phase through normal matter. You made the mistake of thinking that humans fight like other species. Captain Thompson's voice joined the transmission from his position aboard a Corvani command ship. Ambassador Korvac, I'm currently standing in your Empire's primary military command center. Your security systems couldn't detect my infiltration team because we're using technology your species hasn't imagined yet. The being from the ethereal collective pulsed with alarm. Admiral Vasquez, you must cease this aggression immediately. The Galactic Council will not tolerate such violence. The Galactic Council has tolerated 3 genocides committed by the Corvani Empire, Admiral Vasquez replied. You allowed them to exterminate entire civilizations while you debated the proper diplomatic response. But you're not dealing with a species that accepts genocide quietly. Real-time footage began streaming from across Corvani space. The Empire's mighty Fourth Fleet was burning in space as human ships materialized from quantum stealth and unleashed devastating firepower. The Corvani homeworld's orbital defenses were collapsing as Captain Thompson's teams sabotaged them from within. Dr. Park's voice joined the transmission with clinical precision. Every Corvani military asset is being eliminated simultaneously. We've mapped their entire infrastructure over the past 6 months. By the end of today, the Corveni Empire will no longer possess the capability to threaten any civilization. Ambassador Korvac fell to his knees as reports continued streaming in. The empire he had served his entire life was being systematically dismantled by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. "Please," he whispered. "Our civilians, our children, they had nothing to do with the attack on your research stations." Admiral Vasquez's expression didn't change. "Your military specifically targeted our civilians and children. However, unlike your species, we distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. Corveni civilians will not be harmed, but every single military installation, every warship, every weapons facility will be destroyed." Admiral Vasquez's expression didn't change. "Your military specifically targeted our civilians and children. However, unlike your species, we distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. Corveni civilians will not be harmed, but every single military installation, every warship, every weapons facility will be destroyed." The Galactic Council watched in stunned silence as centuries of Corveni military supremacy crumbled in a single day. Species that had lived in fear of Corveni retaliation for generations saw their oppressors reduced to helplessness in mere hours. The hive queens released chemical signals that translated roughly to "the small mammals hunt like swarm killers. They strike everywhere at once." The crystalline beings from the mineral worlds created a harmony that conveyed deep unease. Their mathematical minds were calculating the implications of human military capabilities, and the results were terrifying. Captain Thompson provided a running commentary as his teams completed their missions. Corveni 7th Fleet eliminated. Their primary weapons research facility has been reduced to its component atoms. The command center for their colonial administration is now under human control. "How is this possible?" the ethereal collective representative asked. "No species has ever demonstrated such coordinate military precision." Dr. Park answered from his laboratory on Earth. "Other species fight wars like they're playing games with rules everyone agrees to follow. Humans fight wars like we're hunting predators that threaten our young. We don't stop until the threat is completely eliminated." Ambassador Korvac looked around the council chamber with desperate eyes. "You have to stop them. The Corveni Empire has existed for 1,000 years. We have colonies, trade agreements, cultural achievements." Admiral Vasquez's voice cut through his plea like a blade. "You had all of those things when you chose to commit genocide against human civilians. You had them when you murdered 800 children. Your empire's achievements didn't prevent you from becoming monsters, so they won't save you from the consequences." The final phase of Operation Extinction began as human ships emerged from quantum stealth around the Corveni homeworld. The planet's population of 12 billion watched in terror as their supposedly invincible orbital defense network was methodically destroyed by weapons they couldn't see or understand. But Admiral Vasquez had spoken the truth about protecting civilians. Human forces targeted only military installations and government buildings. Civilian areas were left untouched, though the message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed everything if they had chosen to do so. Within 18 hours, the Corveni Empire ceased to exist as a military power. Their fleets were scattered debris. Their weapons factories were craters. Their command structure had been decapitated so completely that surviving officers couldn't even communicate with each other. Ambassador Korvac sat in the council chamber as the final reports came in. 3,000 years of Corveni military tradition had been obliterated by a species they had dismissed as insignificant. "What do you want from us?" he asked quietly. Admiral Vasquez's response was broadcast to every inhabited world in the galaxy. "We want you to remember this day. We want every species that hears this message to understand what happens when you murder human civilians. The Corveni Empire attacked our research stations because they thought we were weak. They learned that humans are the apex predators of this galaxy." The ethereal collective representative pulsed with what might have been fear. "Admiral Vasquez, your display of power has been noted. But surely you understand that such aggression threatens the stability of galactic civilization. The stability of galactic civilization was threatened when you allowed the Corvani to commit genocide 3 times without consequences, Admiral Vasquez replied. Humanity has now provided those consequences. Any species that chooses to attack human civilians will face the same fate as the Corvani Empire. Dr. Park added his final technical note to the transmission. Every species in this galaxy now has access to our combat recordings. Study them carefully. Learn how we fight. And remember that we developed these capabilities in 6 months after being provoked. Imagine what we might create if given more time and motivation. Captain Thompson concluded the demonstration by transmitting from the Corvani Emperor's private throne room. This palace, like every Corvani military installation, is now under human control. We could have killed everyone here, but we chose restraint. That restraint is contingent upon future behavior. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had just redefined the balance of power in the galaxy. They had shown that their species possessed not only devastating military capabilities, but also the intelligence networks and coordination to deploy them simultaneously across multiple star systems. Ambassador Korvac looked up at the council members with haunted eyes. They're not like us. They don't fight like civilized species. They fight like something that evolved to kill. The representative from the ethereal collective pulsed with deep concern. We have observed many species develop advanced technology over the millennia. None have demonstrated such capacity for coordinated violence. Admiral Vasquez made one final statement that would be remembered throughout galactic history. Members of the Galactic Council, humanity has no desire to conquer or dominate other species. We want to explore, to learn, to grow, and to live in peace. But we are also the genetic descendants of the most successful predators our planet ever produced. If you threaten our children, our families, or our homes, we will respond with the full fury of that evolutionary heritage. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Representatives from dozens of civilizations sat processing what they had witnessed. In a single day, humanity had gone from being considered a minor species to being feared as the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. The Corvani Empire's territory was placed under human administration, while refugee camps were established for displaced civilian populations. The transition was handled with surprising efficiency and compassion, but no one missed the underlying message. Humanity now controlled one of the largest regions of space in the galaxy. In the months that followed, no alien civilization dared to test humanity's warnings. Trade agreements were renegotiated in humanity's favor. Diplomatic disputes were resolved quickly and peacefully. The galaxy had learned that humans were not like other species. They were apex predators who had reached the stars, and they would not tolerate threats to their young.